All right, so we have got Nicholle again from Herb and Jew, and we're just going to talk about the amazing products that she has popped in our anxiety relief Astral box for this month, how they can support you with those feelings of, you know, worry and busy mind and anxiousness. And I'll leave it to the gorgeous Nicholle.
Thank you. So Courageous Manticore Elixir. Let's start with that one. That is a flower essence blend. And let me talk a little bit more about flower essences and what they are for maybe those out there that are new to flower essences. So flower essences is the energy of flowers. It's liquid energy. And every flower on the planet helps you release a specific emotion. So they're not just for looks and they're not just for smells. They are also to help us emotionally and energetically. When you take a flower essence, there is no smell in the tincture and there's also no taste. So it's clear. You can put it in all your favorite beverages, like your teas, even your water. And that's how you would take a flower essence. Though I have some clients who can take them also in their baths. It's a wonderful addition for your baths. It is real, yeah, and it's really wonderful too for putting it in your sacred sprays, so like a room spray or a body spray. But the primary way to take a flower essence is internally, because that's where you're going to help your internal frequency start to shift and start to release your emotions. If you are going to give it to your animals, which by the way, the Courageous Manticore is wonderful for animals, babies as well, because they also feel anxious and scared, maybe when there's fireworks outside or somebody new coming over and they're just afraid. The Courageous Manticore can help them start to release those emotions that they're feeling. And the way that you would give it to them, because giving it to animals directly in the mouth is a little bit of fun for some animals. Yeah, like I have to always
like, horse could do it. But I was like, I don't think I'm gonna go, see, can you open your mouth? And she's just gonna
I always just grab my dog's mouth or my cat's mouth and I squirt the dropper in their mouth and call it a day. But there's other ways to do it with animals. You can put it in their water bowl. You can put it in their food. You can also put it on your hand and pet their nose, because they're going to lick their nose, right? You can also put it on the crown of their head, on their ears, or on their paws. And so those are all great ways. And that's why taking a flower essence with a spray also works, because you're getting it into your aura. You're getting into your energy field that way, if you're not going to be able to ingest it. With babies, you can put it in their baby bottle. You can put it on your nipple if you're breastfeeding before the baby latches on. So there's really wonderful ways to take a flower essence. And what a flower essence does, when it goes inside of you, that energy of that flower finds where you're having the emotional blockage, and that frequency of the flower starts to shake that emotional blockage loose so that you can let it go. And for example, like for anger, there's a flower called holly that's specifically for anger. For guilt, there's a flower called pine that's specifically for guilt. So whatever you're feeling, know that there are flowers out there to support you and that you're not alone in this. So with the Courageous Manticore, I have included, and I wish I knew off the top of my head how many flowers, but it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, about 13 flowers. And they all help with any types of anxieties. For example, and I'm not going to go through them all unless you want me to, or I can just go through a couple.
That'd be great. Yeah.
Okay, perfect. So aspen, that flower essence that's in that elixir, is going to help you release unknown fears, right? Those moments where you're like, I feel anxious, but I have no idea why. I don't feel uncomfortable, but I can't pinpoint why I feel uncomfortable. That's what aspen's going to acknowledge and help you let go of. Then we have elm. Elm is a wonderful flower essence for any feelings of feeling overwhelmed, right? We're overwhelmed or anxious, right? I used to keep just this flower by itself in a little bottle on my desk next to my computer when I would work. That was like my go-to flower for when I was working and feeling overwhelmed. Then we have mimulus. Mimulus is the flower that helps you release all your known fears. For example, fears of the dark, fears of spider, fear of your boss being upset with you, fear of not, hitting your timeline and your deadlines. That is what Mimulus will help you start to release so that you can feel more at ease with yourself. Then I put in rock rose in there because a rock rose is really wonderful for any types of terror, especially if you're having nightmares, right? You're not sleeping through the night. You're not getting a restful night's rest because your dreams are just, causing you to feel afraid, right? Yeah. That's what rock rose helps you release, any type of terror, especially nightmares. And then last but not least, I'll just share this one. It's white chestnut. White chestnut's my friend. I mean, they're all my friends, right? But white chestnut I love so much because she helps us to quiet our monkey chatter mind.
We all need that.
I know, right? Especially when you're trying to go to sleep and your mind's like, white chestnut just calms it right down. And so those are a couple of the flowers that are in the Courageous Manticore. And what's really wonderful, on the back of the bottle, it says you can take 12 drops a day, but in reality, listen to your intuition. You know what's best for you. You may need more drops. You may need less drops. And what's wonderful about flower essence is that you can, even though you took, let's say, the 12 drops right now, and you're about to go on stage to do a huge public speaking conference and you're terrified out of your mind, you could take some more drops. It's okay. So you cannot OD with flower essences. And if you're on pharmaceutical drugs, there's no contraindications with taking a flower essence. So you can do both. It's completely safe. So any questions about flower essences?
Just thinking from, when you talked about you take those flower essences, and I love the way that you describe how they work, how it goes internally and it finds those cells and where you may be storing those fears or whatever is not serving you, and it helps to release that. Mm-hmm. For those subscribers who may be going through a bit at the moment, who go, oh my God, literally every time she's talking about those individual flowers, I know that I've got that known fear and I've got that unknown feeling fear and I feel overwhelmed, and there's obviously a lot going internally. What can they expect in terms of that healing journey and emotions that might arise, and how to work having that understanding as they work with the flower essences on what's going to unfold for them? I know everyone's different, but I just love a bit more understanding for them.
Oh, that's a really great question. And so I think what I have expressed to my clients is that 3 things can happen when you take a flower essence. Number 1 is you feel amazing right away. And animals are really a good example for this one, because animals and children, like babies, they just let the flower essences work. They let go of everything and they move forward, right? They're really in the present moment. And so you may feel wonderful. If the second thing happens, it's called a growth period. Some practitioners call it a healing crisis, where things might get worse before they get better. That's something that's talked about a lot in natural medicine and natural healing, where sometimes we have to really fully feel what we stored so that we can learn the lessons that we didn't learn the first time it happened, maybe because we didn't have the time to process what was happening or the tools to process what was happening, right? Especially if it happened in our childhood. And so in that growth period, you may feel discomfort, whether it's, body aches, or you might feel the emotions more strongly. Continuing to take your flower essences will help you move past that. And also doing self-care techniques like taking a nap, eating nutritious foods, drinking water, maybe even going for a walk in nature. Those are all ways that can help you to get through your growth period quicker. One of my teachers, she's drilled into me many, many times, is the way that we get into a growth period is the way that we get out of it. So if you were meditating and taking a flower essence and you got into a growth period, that means that you approached something that you were really ready to let go of, that was really big within you. Yes, it might be uncomfortable, but it means that you are ready, right? You're ready to let this heaviness go. And so the way you got in it is the way you get out. Continue to take your flower essences, meditating, acupuncture, whatever it is, whatever modality that you're called to can help you to get through it so that you can get to that first part where I said feeling amazing.
We want that.
Right? I know the feeling amazing is a great way, but like I shared earlier, when I started taking a flower essence, I was bawling my eyes out because I had held all that in, right? So I've gotten myself into a huge growth period that lasted about 2 hours. But after I came out of it, it was just like, wow, okay, wipe the snot, wipe the tears. Okay, I do feel better. Well, okay, moving on, right? Then the last thing that might happen when you take a flower essence is you may not feel anything at all. And that's okay. That is one of the things that I tell my clients is before you take a flower essence, take a picture of yourself, take a selfie. Especially if you don't have family and friends close by, if you're maybe someone who lives alone, take a picture of yourself. When you finish your elixir, after around, it should last about 2 to 3 weeks, take another selfie and then compare and contrast. It is visible what happens when someone takes a flower essence. They become softer, they become lighter in the face. It's such a beautiful physical way to see shifts. I also say to take a picture because sometimes when we think that we don't feel anything, that may not really be the case. And I'll use an example. I had a client who encouraged her husband to get a session with me and get a personalized flower essence. He felt better after the session. And then after about 2 weeks of taking the flowers, he was like, I don't really feel different. And his wife came up to me and she said, he is completely different. He just doesn't see the difference. He's such a different person.
Oh, I love that, because sometimes you're right. It's like you need that other person to show you've shifted, because you don't know what you don't know, and it's hard to kind of critique yourself in those situations. Oh, that's brilliant.
Yeah, and sometimes we're not self-aware yet, on certain little topics, right? And so someone's like, but yeah, you've been sleeping longer than you have been in the past. Oh, I guess so. Yeah, I guess I'm sleeping better, like things like that.
I guess for the one, that would be a real tangible difference to feel or sense within yourself, because if it's a known fear and then you're like, wow, I reacted differently in that situation, or I got worried but it didn't lead me to that feeling of, for me it's claustrophobia. It's when I get on a plane, sometimes when we've landed and the doors are closed, I'm like, oh, I get quite worked up. So it's that feeling of, okay, I feel nervous, but not going to blow into that full-blown panic. So it'd be interesting. And to all our subscribers, is we'd love to hear how or what you notice any of those shifts, and tag Herb and Jew and Astral Collective, because we're all on this journey together, and sharing these stories can make such a huge impact for someone else who's going through something similar, and learning these different tools and understanding like, wow, that can make a difference for me. It's we're all holding hands together in this journey, so share your journeys.
Yeah, taking the flowers before you're about to get on a plane, as soon as you sit down in the plane, as soon as the door closes, like continuing to take it will help you to start continuing to clear. I love that story that you just said about how like knowing the difference between your fears and when you're not afraid. I'll share one with you for myself is, have you seen the movie Home Alone?
Yes.
Okay. I have to ask because I'm starting to have conversations with younger people and they're like, no. You hit a certain age and they start getting interviewed by certain people that are younger and they're like, I don't know what that TV show is. And it's like, oh God, I'm old now.
And for those who haven't watched it, just Google it.
So there's a part in the movie where, you remember in the beginning, there's a storm coming and they have a wreath with a Santa head on their door and it's shaking really like chaotically because of a windstorm and the lightning is hitting the light post. I have always had to fast forward that part because I was terrified of that scene. Terrified. Like I just couldn't watch it. My mom had to be sitting next to me all the way up until 2 years ago when I was 34. So all my life I spent terrified in that scene and I didn't know why. I just knew I couldn't sit for that. And I just remember a couple Christmases ago getting to that point. I'm like, okay, where's my remote? I'm going to fast forward it, And I didn't. And I was like, not afraid anymore. And that's exactly what he says in the movie. He's like, I'm not afraid anymore. And that's exactly what I went through. And when you have those moments of like knowing those times where you're super triggered and then being able to get past and being like, oh my gosh, I got past it. It's so amazing. So amazing. And you can get through anything that you're lit up on right now. You can release it, clear it, and feel completely neutral to it. It's just working on some stuff with some tools.
Powerful message which will resonate with all subscribers listening today is no matter what you are going through right now, and as you said, you can get through anything. There is always a tool or a process, and we're never ever stuck. There is always flowing, energy is always moving. It's just around finding those tools like the flower essences and give. I love that. I think that's beautiful. Very powerful. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. And then the other product that I included in the box is the Joyous Unicorn Tea. And I'm just pulling that up right now just to make sure that I don't misspeak on what's inside of it. I want to say, yes. Okay, here it is. So in this tea, I only put 3 flowers, and it's raspberry, pea flower, and chamomile. And so pea flower is so much fun. If you haven't ever had pea flower tea, pea flower tea, if you're really, really curious about it, you can pull the pea flowers out of the Joyous Unicorn and make a tea just with that. And then once you make a tea, take some lemon juice. And if you gently squeeze lemon juice, the more you put, the more colors it's going to change. So it's going to go from like blue to purple to hot pink to like, yeah, it's a really magical flower tea I love. And so it's inside the Joyous Unicorn. And when you make the whole tea together, I'm not quite sure if it's going to turn colors, but you can try it. I haven't seen it change colors, but the raspberry is going to help you with, specifically for women, this is a really good flower tea for your hormones, mood swings, and it's going to help you to have that be a little more neutralized throughout the month. And then the pea flower is for like happiness and contentment and joy. And then last but not least is the chamomile, which is the relaxation, right? The calming, the everything's okay, the tranquility. So all in all, that is the Joyous Unicorn Tea.
Oh, that sounds divine. And that can be had both hot and cooled down and as an ice run kind of thing.
And it's safe for everyone. I made all of my teas safe for women who are pregnant, who are nursing, the elderly, babies. So it's safe for all.
We're so excited about this box. It's one that I think when Catherine and I were putting the idea together around what was the main need that we saw, and going through everything that the world has been through and is still going through at the moment, those feelings of anxiousness and and those busy minds is it's at the forefront for most people. I think everyone you speak to is going through something, and being able to work with you and you intuitively picking these 2 products and knowing what a difference it's going to make to subscribers just makes my heart so happy, because it's not just about products in a box. It's about taking them on this journey, and a healing journey that is going to not only affect them and how they show up and how they feel, but it's going to have that ripple effect to their partner that they come into contact with, their colleagues, with their children. Like the ripple is going to ripple out and affect so many. And that is why you do what you do and why I do and Catherine do what we do. So thank you so much for being a part of it. And we know this is not going to be the last time that we're going to chat, and please go on and have a look at Herb and Jew. She's got the most amazing products, from like your fairy dust. I was like, I'm going to have to get those for the kids, and all your gorgeous products. So
thank you.
And can't wait to hear from everyone and hear their stories on how they find taking the products.
Have a blooming time.
Thank you.